You guys have been asking me for months to read Solo Leveling, and I've always known that I'm going to read it someday, but I finally did it. I've read the first 27 chapters of the manhwa, and oh my gosh, I read the first few, right? And then I was like, this is pretty good. And around chapter 4 or 5, I couldn't stop. I stayed up for hours that night just poring over the manhwa. It's so good. I'm so hooked. The premise is just so unique, and I love what's happening with the story. I want to talk about these first few chapters and what I'm sort of coming to expect, or what I think is going to happen after this, and what I'm looking forward to the most, and just talk about with you guys, and yeah, basically just talk about Solo Leveling. So if you haven't read the first 27 chapters, I recommend not watching this video for obvious reasons, but please do watch it afterward. So I think the most unique aspect of Solo Leveling is its premise, and at its core, it's not really the most unique because we have a lot of stories that sort of connect to this sort of video games feel or video game style, right? But the way it handles it is certainly unique. I love the idea of certain people in the world being chosen as hunters, right? And they're all given a rank, and these people can't really get stronger. Like, when they were gifted with this power, that's it. You are an E rank, or you are an A rank, or whatever the terminology is. I think that's really unique, right? And that makes our main character that much more unique. Just the whole idea of portals that are they're still a part of our world. When you go through the portal, it's not like it takes you to a whole different place. It's just sort of the area you walk into is transformed almost. I don't know, I really like it a lot. Same with Jin-Woo, the protagonist. After he unlocks his own type of special dungeons, it's the same thing, which is super cool. So overall, the concept is great. I love the world building. Tons of interesting secrets that they keep dropping. The whole idea of there just being monsters. They mentioned that one island that was just overrun and no one can live there anymore, or maybe it's a whole continent or something. I can't even remember. That was insane. I just love the little details like that just make it feel like its own world. But talking about our protagonist, he's another character that if you describe him to somebody, he may not seem like the most unique character. It's a weakling who still wants to be strong, right, and protect people, blah, blah, blah. But deep down, I actually feel like there's a lot more to it. So, obviously, he's a smart guy, right? During the whole trial with the statues, which is by far my favorite part of the series, oh my gosh, the whole thing was so insane, I literally could not stop reading it. He really proved his worth. He proved that he was a smart guy. He was the only one to figure out the secret of these statue things, right? A freaky Statue of Liberty. That thing is actually straight up from hell. It's like an Attack on Titan Statue of Liberty thing. But he was the only one to figure out its secret, and he was also the only one to warn people. Without him, everyone would have died. Just straight up. I just love that whole thing. But as a protagonist, he's got brains, but he's also willing to sacrifice himself. When he lets Ju-hee, the girl who was with him during that time, and then the leader of the group, he lets them go, and he's like, no, I don't care about myself, just go, right? He really does prove his worth, and that's, I feel why he's chosen to become this player. Oh my gosh, there's so much mystery, it really does feel like a game, a player, right? What does that mean? Have there been other players before? Is he the first one? Because there's this whole reawakened thing. And it's sort of insinuated that he's reawakened, but at the same time, he mentions that even though he's reawakened, he's different. I think when someone's reawakened, quote unquote, they get stronger, but they still can't. He can just climb, and climb. And as an E rank, right, or as the weakest hunter, as they call him. And I just think that's so unique. So, like I mentioned before, the statues part, by far my favorite. Just the intensity and the horror mixed with mystery, it was so amazing. It was such a thrill reading that. I was actually worried about everybody, and just seeing all these powerful people try to escape and then just get killed was okay, I don't like this, And I'm curious if Jin-Woo is going to meet these monsters again. I don't really know, because they were saying that they seem as strong as an S-rank monster. But we actually, the chapter that I ended on with Jin-Woo, he was fighting this Cerberus monster at an S-rank dungeon. And I'm not sure if that was an S-rank monster, but I think it was. I'm wondering, like, maybe these things were stronger than that. Maybe they're on a whole new level. I really don't know, but it's interesting because I'm not sure if he, like, how strong is he gonna get and how quickly? Because I went through the whole thing with, he met Jin-Ho. I'm still learning their names, so I have a document here. He met Jin-Ho, Eugene-Ho, who's this, like, rich boy who had a lot of rich, fancy armor, right? And he protected him during their hunt or whatever. And now they're sort of coming to this agreement, but, like, I'm wondering, we're being introduced to the guy, the leader of that group's brother, right? And he's an S-rank hunter. Is this guy stronger than Jin-Woo? Because if Jin-Woo is already stronger than this S-rank hunter, and he's done, like, what, 2 dungeons at the most? How strong is he gonna get? Is he gonna become like a god? Because I feel like he still has so much more room to grow, and yet, is he already on par with these guys? I don't think so. I think this guy is going to be stronger. They're sort of hyping him up a little bit. And they also introduced us to another guy who says he likes to kill people instead of monsters. So, I don't know. I'm just curious to see how this power scaling is going to work out, because he's obviously leagues ahead of C-rank hunters. He manhandled that group after killing the spider. So I'm not really sure. I'm also curious to see if he and Jin-Ho are going to continue their, like, not bond, but their new agreement, if they're going to become friends, or if they're going to end up splitting. Is Jin-Ho going to be, like, this recurring character? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what's going to come of all of that, but I'm super curious. I mean, like I said, I just love it. Another thing that I'm wondering about is Ju-Hee, the girl, the healer, the B-rank healer who is kind of traumatized, because who can blame her, right? I'm sort of wondering if she, like, she seemed to know who Jin-Woo is before the statue hunt thing, but Jin-Woo hasn't really seen her since. Well, he saw her since, but he never said hi or anything. I'm wondering, like, are they going to see each other soon? Is she going to continue to play a part in the story? What's going to happen with them or with her specifically? Not really sure. And also, I don't know, just a little side note here. The leader of their group during the statue thing, Song Chi-Yul, kind of a badass, right? Like, he gets his arm blown off, and like, okay, look. I know it's sort of his fault that they were in that mess in the first place, but I think Jin-Woo made a great point in that they voted. They voted to go in. Like, they tried to make him sacrifice himself, but he was like, no, we all voted on this. It really wasn't his fault. He was kind of dumb, but he really made some great decisions during that part, and I'm super glad he survived because he was really cool. There were so many times where I was like, he's dead, you know? But he gets his arm like freaking ripped off, and he's just like, hey, help me stop the bleeding, and I'm like, dude, way to go, man. I don't know, I really like it. I'm hoping that we get introduced to more characters, because right now, there's really only, like Jin-Woo, his sister, Jin-Ho, the guy who was asking Jin-Woo about being reawakened, and he's starting to become suspicious of him now again because blah, blah, blah. And then the guy's brother, the S-rank hunter, like, we're being introduced to more and more, but I hope we get even more. I hope we get some, maybe, I don't know, other hunters that could be on the righteous side, right? Or not evil, not trying to kill people, because right now we're just being introduced to a lot of antagonists, you know? So, I don't know. Another thing too, last thing, the art style is just absolutely incredible. I've fallen in love with every single panel. Like, usually in a manhwa like this, or a manga, or a webtoon, or whatever you're reading, the art, like, gets better. And the art is certainly getting better in this story, but I've never seen it to the point where it's, like, so good from chapter 1. It's, like, so good. And I was honestly blown away by it. There's so much. The chapters are a great length. They contain so much incredible art. The coloring is fantastic. The character designs are fantastic. The monsters all look super unique. I love how they all drop, like, items that he gets to use in the future. I don't know, I just really love this story, and I'm excited to keep reading it. Maybe in another 25 or so chapters, I'll post another video talking about those and talking about my expectations for the future. I'm really not sure if I can predict what's gonna happen from now, but it's clear that Jin-Woo is going to become a monster. Like, he's already kind of a monster, but he's going to become even more of a monster. I'm not sure if he's going to become famous, because that would be bad. He can't really give himself away, so I don't really know. I'm just curious to find out though, but obviously please don't post any spoilers in the comments, because I want to go into this completely blind, and just experience it, you know, like all of you did. So other than that, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys next video. Let me know if there's any other series you want me to read and talk about on the channel. So thanks, guys. I'll see you next video.